Best a man can get.
Back here, first things first, joined by Super Bowl champ Chris Canty. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Jenna. How you doing?
I'm good. How's your Halloween?
Halloween was good.
What did you go as?
I didn't go as anything, but I sat there and passed out candy to all the trick-or-treaters. I feel like I have the best setup for Halloween because the kids can come through and they can get a handful of candy, as much candy as they can get with one hand. Like, I feel like we have the house on the block that lets the kids get as much candy as they want so they can enjoy Halloween.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
I was trying to get a juice last night. Guy gave me a hard time. I was like, hey, where's your costume? I said, this is it. I'm going.
See, I had a problem with the kids that came by and didn't have a costume. What are we doing? I mean, I'm going to give you candy, but it's Halloween. At least put some effort into it.
I get that.
Just put a little effort into it.
A little bit. I get that. I mean, for the kids, not for you guys.
Jenna's kids weren't dressed up, but that's because their mom doesn't believe in telling them it's Halloween.
None of that is true.
She doesn't want.
I'm going to show you what happened to my kids.
You come out with some sugar-free candy or something good for the kids.
True. My kids
like tofu Skittles. Jenna's kids be in there.
It has been quite a week within the Cleveland Browns organization. That after the firings of head coach Hugh Jackson and offensive coordinator Todd Haley. In fact, it sparked our Eric Mangini to tell us yesterday that for Halloween, he was going as a popular character in Cleveland, a former Browns coach. Rookie Baker Mayfield weighed in yesterday on all the changes around the organization.
For me, it being the first time I've experienced something like that mid-season, is surprising on all fronts. Specifically, it doesn't really matter if it was one or both. It's surprising to me. Never gone through it like that, and that's my welcome to the business moment, I think. I expect the guys in here to be grown men, to be experienced football players and handle it the way, and keep that same mindset of we have the same goal. We need to reach that and work with each other.
All right, Chris, how hard will the firings in Cleveland be on Baker Mayfield? Because I think
you guys can learn from. They got fired because they were
internal discord. Exactly.
My new co-host.
Keep that off the air.
Continuity is key. Continuity is key,
Jenna.
I'm trying. Let's talk about the future of this franchise. Is Baker Mayfield? Does this affect him now when you get rid of your offensive coordinator and your head coach moving forward?
Well, I think you make the move because it affects him, but I don't think it'll affect him negatively. If anything, it'll be a positive impact because I think this gives Baker Mayfield the opportunity to continue to develop without the backbiting, without the insubordination, without the potential power struggle between the two key figures, especially on the offensive side of the ball at the top of the hierarchy of the organization. So I think it's important to a quarterback's development when you have everybody on the same page. And it was clear the Cleveland Browns made this move because Todd Haley had his ideas about how things should go, and Hugh Jackson had his idea on how he wanted things to go in terms of play calling. And so I think it's in Baker's best interest to be able to have the people that are calling the plays and the people at the top of the organization seeing things the same way, sharing the same football vision so he can continue on the path to developing. Because it's hard enough as a rookie quarterback with the learning curve that you're going to have to deal with. Now, in terms of continuity and what they were doing offensively, I don't think you have to worry as much about that because Freddie Kitchens is going to be the offensive coordinator. He was with Todd Haley at several stops, including the Dallas Cowboys, where I actually had a chance to work with him.
So you don't think it's a step backwards?
No, I don't think it's a step backwards. And then Al Saunders is there. And Al Saunders was one of the assistants on The Greatest Show on Turf. He goes back to the Don Coryell era of football. So there are good football people in the building that can teach Baker Mayfield the game the right way. I just worried about what was going on between Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson, and I think they've removed that distraction from that football team.
They've removed that distraction, but I do not think it's better for Baker that they're both gone, and I have reason to believe that it wasn't the plan for them both to be gone. I was talking to someone who covers this team in Cleveland yesterday, and the belief there, at least in certain circles, is they fired Hugh, they called Todd in and say, and not to fire him, and to say Greg Williams is going to be the interim, and that meeting did not go well. And that's then, which is why it makes sense that the news about Todd's firing trickled out a couple hours after the news about Hugh Jackson's firing. That Todd.
What do you think the reasoning behind that would be? Why would they give it to their defensive coordinator, not have Todd Haley?
To not reward bad behavior. Like, if there's a power struggle and then one guy loses his job and the other guy gets promoted, that rewards discord within the organization. And so, because I think Todd thought, I'm brought here to be the offensive coordinator, but also you can't make Greg Williams your interim coach, not with his history in the league. If Hugh gets fired, I'm going to take that seat, and then he didn't get the seat, and he's not there anymore. I just don't think it can be good for Baker this week or next week to have a guy calling plays who's called plays in one NFL game of his life. It was a preseason game. Like you said yesterday, you can't have that much football knowledge go out the building and have it help your quarterback. I think having the discord go out the building can help, but you didn't need to get rid of both of them to have the discord leave the building. You only need to get rid of one of them, which I think was their original plan.
Well, I have a serious concern for Baker Mayfield. I thought Baker Mayfield was going to be a superstar in the league. And I know that franchises ruin a lot of players. Baker has the talent to be a star, but you have to be supported. The reason we had the conversation about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady is not just because they're playing Sunday night. No, it's because they've been supported in different ways by their organization. Aaron Rodgers replaced a legend who had just finished a 13-3 season, one throw away from being in the Super Bowl, and Tom Brady playing for in the most difficult coaches in Bill Belichick. But they've been supported by the people around them, the organization, the people they're going to be around, man. 99% of the players I ever met in this league, man, they are system players, and Baker does not have the athleticism, does not have the height, does not have the arm strength to be able to go through this league by himself. So I'm concerned about Baker Mayfield. Right now, the most serious relationship he needs to have is with John Dorsey, the general manager. They need to sit down in a room and Baker needs to be able to ask him some real questions, grown men questions is, who we looking at bringing in here and what does my future hold with them? Because this is important. If football's important, John, it's important to me. This is my job. This is my career. I want to be able to stay here in Cleveland. I don't want to go through 2 or 3 general managers, 4 or 5 head coaches. I don't want to be a coach killer. I want to be the solution, and where are we going? I don't care where you're going, but I need to know the direction. And Dorsey is going to answer. Who they have now, it don't matter.
Exactly.
This season is over with. Do not teach the kid bad habits before the next coach, before the next quarterback coach gets him, because they have a winner in Baker Mayfield. I just hope that they don't turn him into a loser.
And I'm right there with you, CC. And a part of the reason why John Dorsey selected Baker Mayfield over the other quarterbacks that win the top 10 of the draft is because he's a guy that they identified as a culture changer, which they needed in Cleveland. And I think this presents an opportunity for him to grab a hold of this team and really impose his personality on this group of guys. I think it presents a unique opportunity for him. I'm looking at it glass half full. And when you consider the fact that there are still good football people in the building, I'm not as much so worried about him learning bad habits in this part of his development, because the development of Baker Mayfield, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And remember the last young quarterback who had a coaching change in the middle of the season. It was Jared Goff. So, I mean, when you consider that, you saw what happened when Sean McVay came on board. Jared Goff took off. He started to ascend in year 2. So I think that there will be an opportunity for that development to continue. I'm just glad that they got rid of the dysfunction in the organization, which was the relationship between Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley.
It is not, one thing you're absolutely right on, it is nothing new for the quarterback taken first in the draft to have a coaching change. The last 4 quarterbacks, from Jameis to Mitch Trubisky, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, every single one of those guys, first quarterback taken in their draft, had their coach fired the year they were taken or going into the next year. So you take a quarterback that high, it usually means you're not going to be the coach that much longer. What matters is that they get Sean McVay. They don't get, with respect, Dirk Cutter or whomever else is on that.
One of the things we got to watch for is, I trust Stan Kroenke, who owns the Rams and got it right with Sean McVay, more than the guy who's stealing gas from truck drivers.
He's just glad he ain't in jail. He's just glad he ain't in jail right now.